Hi everyone, this is James Wilkes from Faith Mountain Farm and Hive Tracks here with you to give you a Sourwood update for July 5th, 2024. And we started at this yard in the Parsonville region of Wilkes County at 1370 feet of elevation. This was this morning. I went out and collected the scale data from a couple of yards and just watching the bee activity. Have a couple of other interesting tidbits to share with you as we go through this update, and sharing a little bit of video as well. It'll be hard to see, but maybe you can capture it. The activity in this yard, the bees were just really moving well. Just a lot of determined activity, a lot of bees moving, and they could care less that I was there and looking at them. This was an interesting little sidebar. I was looking on top of this hive where I'd put some burr comb, or actually some old dark comb there, and it looked like the bees were actually gathering up the wax and putting it on their legs and carrying it like pollen. So that was wild. Never seen that before. All right, so let's get to the scales. And in this yard, we had a 29-pound weight gain on one of the hives and 35 on the other in the past week. And you can see most of those days, these are net gains. So you have a positive gain during the day, then you lose some weight at night as they're drying the honey. Most of these gains, you can see this is 139 to 148. That was almost an 9-pound day there. And then we had this one day in the middle, July 2nd, primarily a little bit of the 3rd, but it went flat. And what happened here was a front came through, a cool front, and dried things out a little bit, made the air a little bit cooler. It still wasn't that cool. It was still in the 50s at night, 40s up in the mountains at my farm. So it just shut the nectar down for that day. But then the humidity and heat came back and it turned it back on. So we can see we're in a good solid flow pattern right now. And the bees themselves were bringing in a good amount of pollen even this morning. And like I said, they were just moving really well, putting up nectar, new white comb, freshen the edges of the comb. That's the thing we like to see. They're even beginning to cap some of the honey. You can look down in this and see we'll probably be harvesting this in the next week or two. That's probably about all we got left on the bloom in this particular area. And again, you can see that they're pretty busy finishing out the flow. On the blooms, you can also see, if you zoom in, there's still a good bit of flowering left to go on the ends of these fronds. So again, that's why I'm thinking there's going to be another week or so. It tails off though as you get out towards the end. It gets less strong. We're in the meat of the season right now. Switching yards, this is in another place in what we call lower deep gap yard, and this is in the 421 corridor at the bottom of the mountain if you've ever come through that way. This graph and the other one from this yard looks similar, 28-pound day and then a 28-pound week and 27-pound week. Same flat in the middle around July 2nd, but tracking very well with the other yard. And this yard is actually at 1350 elevation. It's just a little bit south on the other side of a mountain from the other yard. So again, very similar patterns on these two. And this one has fewer hives of ours. We got some other hives a friend of ours has in there. And so again, this is the update for July 5th, 2024. I'll try to get another update in before next week. I head off to the North Carolina State Conference, and again, reminder that I'll be there and talking about sourwood honey production in particular in one of the talks on Saturday, July 13th at, I think it's 11 a.m. when I give that talk. So I'll try to get to these yards again before I leave for the conference and give you one last update before the end of the season, when we'll of course have a final update on how the season turned out. So happy honey making to everyone out there. Thanks for listening.